Hello and welcome to the Megan Millen podcast. I am Megan Milinovich and today we are talking all things emotional regulation. What is emotional regulation? That sigh is even emotional regulation. Fun fact, your dogs, when they yawn or have a release like that, that is a form of emotional regulation for them too. But there are energetic and physical tools you can use to regulate your emotions. Super crucial in today's world. There's literally fear-mongering everywhere. And if you've watched any of my videos before, or if this is your first time, fun fact, 97% of your thoughts, actions, beliefs are not even your own. It is things you have taken on from other people in your life, people you see on social media, mainstream news, things like that, which is why it is so important that you learn how to regulate your emotions. The higher your emotions are, the least accurate your intuition becomes. Your intuition is a neutral knowing. Your emotions are when you are feeling elated or overly down or overly type of something. Also, when you are overly emotional, that gives dark forces, heavy energies, whatever resonates with you, the primo opportunity to cord into you and amplify your insecurities 20-fold. If you are like, what are dark forces? What are heavy energies? There are energetic and physical beings on earth that have ill intent for humanity. While they are the minority, they do have power and influence. But when you are emotional, you allow these heavy energies to begin courting into you. And when they court into you, again, they amplify your insecurities. I say 20-fold. It will feel 100 times fold. And you're not tapped into your true nature self when you are, first of all, highly emotional, and second of all, when you have these heavy energies corded into you. On a physiological level, why it is important to regulate your emotions is because when you are highly emotional, you get into this survival, fight or flight mode. And when you are in fight or flight, not only are you not leading your life and making decisions with your heart, another fun fact, your heart radiates the largest magnetic field out of every organ in the body. Your heart's magnetic field radiates 100 times the power of your brain. It is insane. So when you are in fight or flight, you are not leading with your true heart center. And guys, again, leading with your heart is leading and living by your true nature self, is leading with your intuition, essentially. And I say leading because you're not taking on the biases from everything and everyone else around you when you are listening to your heart. Again, intuition is neutral. I'm hearing thoughts of follow your heart. It's not necessarily follow your heart because that's where I would say society tells us follow your heart. Like that can also be emotions. Intuition is neutral. But when you are in fight or flight, you're not leading with your intuition. You're not leading with your heart. You are also not supplying your frontal cortex of your brain, which is the part of your brain that deals with decision making, planning. I don't want to say no blood flow goes to that area of the brain when you are emotional, when you are in fight or flight, but it is markedly decreased. And you want to know what part of your brain blood flow goes to instead. Your amygdala. Your amygdala is crucial and is the primary player of emotional processing, of fear, of attaching emotions to memories. So if you can imagine, if you are in this highly emotional state, you watch something on TV that made you mad, someone pissed you off, and now you're in fight or flight. And now the area of your brain that's being activated the most is your amygdala. One of the areas of your brain that's being activated more, I should say, is your amygdala, which attaches, it's survival. So it's attaching fear to previous memories, to what you quote unquote know. I say no because 95% of our beliefs, of our repetitive patterns, of our thoughts are dictated by our subconscious. So your amygdala gets activated. You instantly go into this, I don't want to say instantly, but you go into this fear, fight for your life type of mode. And you are not thinking and making decisions as true nature you would do with your intuition or with your brain. When you are in a meditative state, and I get being in a meditative state might not resonate with a lot of you, but imagine if your body, your emotions are just all in the same wavelength, okay? You have clarity. You're not feeling rushed or angsty towards anything. You're chill. Let's say that you're chill. You're able to tap into your intuition and your heart center. And not only are you able to tap into your heart center more readily in this quote unquote meditative state, insert whatever resonates with you, but science has shown that when you are in this meditative state, you actually increase your heart and brain's coherence, which is wild. Literally, when you are in this meditative state, you increase the size and function of your frontal lobe. Again, your frontal lobe is the part of your brain that heavily deals with planning and decision making. It primarily deals with executive functioning. So imagine if you are in fight or flight with your emotions all over the place, you are not in a meditative state. Your heart and brain are not communicating with each other. And again, your heart's magnetic field is 100 times of the brain's. You literally want your heart to be communicating with your brain. If you are emotional, you are not. You have disconnected that communication. And again, there are physical and energetic tools to get into this meditative state. And I want to make it clear, I know meditation may not resonate with a lot of people listening to this. And I'm not even talking meditation where you turn on the app that's guiding you through what you should think with the frequencies and the music. I'm not even talking that. I'm talking there are physical and energetic tools that are specific to you that increase this clarity state that you can achieve in order to tap into your intuition more, in order to increase your heart-brain coherence. A popular physical technique is even breath work that's super, super calming, because when you are in a steady, sustained breathing pattern, your vagus nerve has afferent nerves, is majority afferent nerves with an A. When you are on a steady, focused breathing pattern, your vagus nerve is sending signals to the brain, I am safe. Why is that beneficial? Because it tells your brain, chill the fuck out for a second, essentially, to not let those heavy emotional biases that are stored in your memory take over and take control. Because once you let your brain, and specifically that fear-based mindset, take control, that is where you are going to start making decisions based out of. And tell me, how many times have you regretted making fear-based decisions? And I say that being right there with you, because there have been numerous times where I was overly emotional and I made the decision and regretted it maybe an hour later, instead of just getting my emotional bias down, really tapping into what I wanted to do, what true nature me would do, and making the best decision for me. It's no different than when someone sends you a text and you are so fiery and you just pop back off at them. It's no different than moving somewhere or buying something thinking that it's going to make you feel good because you are doing that thing or making that decision from an overly elated or emotional place. Not necessarily what you would call fear, but yes, from a fear-based mindset, because you're in this fear thinking, oh, if I don't move here or if I don't buy this thing, I'm going to miss out on something. I'm not going to have the time of my life, etc., etc. However, once you go to that place or once you receive that thing, how many times are you like, I regret doing that? That's because your emotional bias took over. So why is it more important now, today, to begin regulating your emotions, to begin consciously regulating your emotions? Because today we live in a world where fear-mongering is everywhere. You go on social media, you go on mainstream news, you go to the doctor, you go to school, and there is fear-mongering everywhere. Perfect example of this was years ago now, when if you didn't get the C shot, you would die. Classic 101, fear-mongering. If you don't get your kids vaccinated, they can't go to school. If you don't get your kids vaccinated, you can no longer come to this doctor's office. It's insane. And there are people who are in these higher up, powerful, influential positions who amplify these feelings of fear because they have influence. Let's use mainstream news as an example. Why is it every single mainstream news station has the exact same headlines, and it's all fear-based and it's all quote unquote bad, and it's really meant to just trigger and amplify, again, that fear more, while simultaneously making you more and more addicted to it. Because yes, our brains can get addicted to the drama. Part of the reason why we get addicted to the drama is because when you are presented with a dramatic stimulus, dopamine, which is also known as the feel-good hormone, gets secreted in your brain. So if you're getting dopamine hits as you're watching the news, why wouldn't you keep going back to that? It's why people are addicted to reality TV. We like the drama. Okay, but let's go back to mainstream news for a second. So every single mainstream news station has the same headlines, as reporting on the same things. And yes, there was a time where reporters were doing their job, going to the scene, reporting on what is actually going on. But at these news stations, there are people who are higher up, again, who have power, influence, and money, that control these news stations and are feeding them what they want them to tell you. And these people at the top of these news stations have ill intent. They do not have the best interest in humanity. They want to keep you in fear, because if they keep you in fear, they stay in power. Because if they keep you influenced to their agenda, they keep you influenced. And if you don't believe that, tell me then why influencing is a multi-million-dollar job. Because we are easily influenced as people. Again, 97% of our thoughts are not even our own. So what happens from the top? These head execs, let's call them, these people who run these news stations, have an agenda. The agenda does not want to empower you, does not want to make you feel safe. If anything, it's the opposite. They want to make you feel powerless, and they want to keep you in fear. They do not want you to make decisions for yourself. They want you to follow the decisions that are outlined in their agenda. So these higher ups have an agenda. They give it to the news stations. They pass it on to the reporters, anchors, whoever is reporting on it, for you to watch, for you to digest, because they know, they have awareness into this. They know you are easily influenced, and they know you are good people. So they have the understanding that you know you're a good person, and you have this bias because the majority of good people in the world, or I should say the majority of people in the world, have good intent, are light bodies. And what happens is, good people, we start to think, okay, well, I'm a good person and I wouldn't lie or create an agenda or want to instill fear in people. So why would people like the news, the pharmaceutical companies, the people who run schools, why would they want to instill fear in me? And that is where they play off of our innocence, for lack of better words. They know we'll think, they know the good people will think, I would never do this. So why would someone do this to me? And that has worked for a very long time, except now people are starting to wake up to this. Guys, tell me, if the news really had your best interest at heart, why would it just report on the bad every hour? That doesn't make sense. Why would the 4, 5, 6 p.m. news report the same bad story at the top of every hour if they had your best interest? It's because the people feeding them these stories do not have your best interest. And I want to make it abundantly clear that these people who have ill intent for us, who are at the top of mainstream news, who are at the top and involved in pharmaceuticals, who are involved in schools, who are in Hollywood, while they may have power, money, and influence, they are the minority. Again, majority of the people are good, and there is power in numbers. You can make a conscious decision today to say, I am not going to get overly emotional and triggered by what I'm seeing on social media, on the news, from this podcast. I'm going to calm my emotions. I'm going to use my own discernment and make a decision based from there. Because if you are making a decision from that mindset instead of a fear-based mindset, and when I say from that mindset, I mean using your intuition, using your logical brain, you are making decisions in alignment with true nature you. True nature you is unconditional love no matter what. True nature you is not the one popping off because they don't like what they're seeing. And I don't want to make it sound like popping off is always a bad idea. Sometimes you just got to tell someone what the is up. But when you are doing that constantly, and when you are living in this high stress, high cortisol place in lifestyle, No, that is not good. The chronicness of this, the chronic state of fight or flight is not the lifestyle that will benefit you in the long run. Not just because of decision making, but think about that. If you are in chronic stress, that's not good for your mental or physical health either. Also, who wants to be around that? I know I don't. I know people who they're always so up in a tizzy about things. I'm just like, can you chill out? It's not an enjoyable place to be or be around. Okay, let's go back to the news. A topic that is frequently brought up in the news is politics. Politics is highly triggering for a lot of people. It is the best place right now for these people who do not have good intent for you, for them to create a divide amongst the good people, because if you are divided, that also feeds into their agenda. Again, there's power in numbers. If you are divided, you're taking away your own power. When I say your own power, I'm meaning the good people, the light bodies. And when I say light bodies, I just mean people who are connected to source still, who have good intentions for humanity. Okay, so the mainstream news takes a polarizing topic such as politics, and politics does not need to be that polarizing. If anything, it should be a beautiful thing where people come together and make decisions for the good of the community. It has now been weaponized, and these people who have ill intent are also planted in politics as well. No, Trump is not one of these ill intent people. Trump is a light body. So take the politics, take the news, and there's all of these people, again, who are higher up, who have influential positions, and they have zero good intent for your well-being. And they are just creating further divide. Think about the government shutdown. They can't come to a conclusion to open it back up, to pay people, to make decisions, to essentially do their jobs. It's insane because they want to create and keep the division. And when you are divided and do not seek to understand the other person's POV, you are just giving more and more power and ammo to these people who have dark intent for you to keep doing what they're doing, to keep riling you up, to keep instilling fear so that they can keep their own power and influence. Power and influence are the buzzwords of this podcast, apparently. I bet you didn't think in an emotional regulation podcast we would be talking about power, influence, news, and politics, but here we are. Because when you are not attempting to find common ground, when you are not attempting to regulate your emotions, you are doing yourself a disservice. You are allowing other people and things to run your life, essentially. But I don't want to make it sound like we are so hopeless and divided. If anything, we are becoming more aware of this now than ever, and these higher up, dark intent people are freaking out because they are catching on that you are catching on. You're not believing you need to get the vaccine. You're not believing that these riots are legit, and that freaks them out. So what do they do about it? They amp up or increase the ante. A perfect example of this is everything that's going on in Minnesota. It's no secret. There are plenty of independent reporters, podcasters out there proofing how these protesters are paid. They're paid. They all have the same signs. You can see them clocking in and out of their shifts for protesting. It's crazy. And these people are being, again, funded by the same or similar people who have zero intent for your goodness, for your well-being. And again, these people are being funded by the same people who control news, politics, who have zero interest in your well-being, who have zero interest in seeing you thrive, who have zero interest in empowering you. That's why all these protests and riots are breaking out against ICE. ICE and Homeland Security are actually newer divisions of government who have good intentions for the country, which is why they are so under attack from these dark, heavy energies, which is why a lot of mainstream news paints them as bad guys. Like if you even go to some mainstream news and you go to their page and you try to search or find out what happened to the ICE officer who got ran over, you won't even see the full body cam footage of how it escalated, how it took place, how that woman hit him with her car. And I shouldn't just say hit him, ran him over with her car, because that doesn't fit their agenda. That doesn't fit that mainstream news station's agenda. If you have all the information, then you can make decisions for yourself. If you have their information, then you are making decisions that they want you to make. And again, we as people are good. This isn't meant to be a scary thing. This is meant to empower you. Understand how this system works so that you are not so heavily influenced by it. Understand how the system works so that when you catch yourself in a highly emotional state, you know why. You know what the fuck is up. And again, these people who have influence and who have ill intent, while they may have money, while they may have power, they do not have numbers. We, good people, have the numbers. We, the good people, can come together and be united. The division comes when we do not seek to understand. You can have an opinion on something. I like this, I don't like that. Cool. You don't need to be firing off, emotional about it. You can hear the other person's point of view, and you both can literally go live on your lives normal. It does not need to be fights and chaos. Again, when it's fights and chaos, that creates more fear, that creates more fight or flight. Going back to the beginning of this podcast, when you are in fight or flight, you are not living life as your true nature self, essentially. If you are living a life by fight and flight, you are living in a chronic stressed life. That's no bueno. Who wants to be living a life like that? Okay, so how do you begin regulating your emotions and sussing out the BS? Again, a lot of times we'll have physical triggers and you'll just feel it, right? You'll start to feel amped up. Your heart will start to race. You'll want to feel like you want to fight something. I'm laughing because I've been there. And I could still default to that if I didn't have the emotional regulation tools that I have today. And I could still be there if I didn't have this knowledge. This knowledge is powerful. And I'm channeling for the collective right now. Breath work is a big one. And when I say breath work, it's inhaling for 6 seconds, holding for 2 seconds at the top, and then exhaling through your mouth, an audible exhale for 8 seconds. Do that for a minimum of 5 times or as long as 5 minutes. Removing yourself from the situation is helpful, and that could be leaving the room, that could be going for a walk. Remove yourself from the situation until you could get your emotions calm enough to make I don't want to say rational decision, but a decision that's more aligned with you. And a good energetic tool is just reminding yourself, true nature you would not be assigning so much weight or pressure to this situation. True nature you knows everything is love. True nature you knows there are people and beings out there that do not have your best interest. And true nature you knows you are more powerful than them, because that is the truth. You are more powerful than the heavy energies. It is one of the reasons why they want to influence and have power over us, because light feeds them. I'm chuckling because it's not like you're actually feeding them, but light is what gives them their power and influence. If they don't have your influence, they have nothing. And I'm also hearing and seeing the resistance to understanding the other side's POV, which is cool. I still have moments of that too. I don't want to walk around and paint this picture that every single day I'm walking around being like, that person's point of view is great. That person's point of view is great. And it's radically opposite from me. Like, I don't want to paint that picture either. However, cool. Address that. That person's point of view is different. I don't have to give an F about it. I'm also not letting it dictate my decisions. I'm also not letting it dictate my day. I'm also not letting it getting me so riled up. I'm moving on from it. Cool. That's what you think. I'm moving on. Because there is power in removing yourself from that too. What happens is our pride and ego get in the way, thinking, I have to stand up for myself. I'm no different. I have to pop off in the DMs. I have to comment. I have to go tell this person this, and this because they're wrong. Cool. Time and place for that, okay? Because admittedly, sometimes people do need to be put in their place. However, at the same time, do you want to live your life like that? Like, hell no. I, for one, do not want to live my life in a place where I always feel like I'm popping off. I'd rather just live in my own inner peace with the occasional pop off, which is actually a good point. Regulate your emotions, but love them. It almost sounds like an oxymoron. It's not, because the goal is not to always live in la la land. The goal is, okay, I'm feeling angry. Why do I feel angry? Thank you, anger, for showing me that there is a misbalance, or an imbalance, I should say, between what I'm perceiving to be true and what is actually true. Because your feelings of anger are not true nature you, but right, at all moments, We're taking on people's thoughts, actions, beliefs. We're having old memories trigger up. We're being forced to face our emotional wounds. So yeah, sometimes anger, frustration, lack of trust may pop up. Okay, thank you, anger. And then implementing a physical and or energetic tool to help you release the anger. And then fucking moving on with your day. There's no need to perseverate on it because there is this funny thing called the universal law of focus. It is your BFF and it is also your enemy. I'm laughing because this has popped up in my life recently. But what you focus on is what you attract. So if you are so focused on how the world is messed up, how politics is messed up, how yada, 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 this isn't fair, I don't have this, blah, 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 that's all you're going to get in return. Those are the only situations that will be amplified in front of your face. So if you are so focused on the negative aspects of your life, first of all, it's not the truth. There's good in the negative aspects of your life as well. But second, if you are so focused on the negative aspects of your life, of the negative aspects of the world, that is what you will begin to create more and more of in your life. That negative mindset will literally get amplified in your creator field. So love your emotions, acknowledge them, shift them, then move on. Even if you do the pop off, don't beat yourself up for it. You are only a human. It is so normal to pop off on someone, especially if you're just like at your wit's end and you're like, I just need to release it. I just need to tell this person or thing what is up. Cool. Don't beat yourself up over it. Use that as an instance or scenario of how to do it better next time. Maybe you don't let your feelings and emotions boil up that much to the point where you need to explode. Maybe you catch that feeling sooner, shift it in a way where you wouldn't feel so regretful over it. And maybe regretful isn't the right word, but maybe where you feel better about it, right? Instead of letting your anger towards anything boil up so much, maybe you just need to go to a boxing class. Way better than yelling at Johnny. Guys, I don't know who Johnny is, but I've used that name in my past 2 podcasts and it's kind of making me laugh. There's no Johnny in my life. So to recap, regulate your emotions. How? There are energetic and physical tools that you can use to regulate your emotions. Physical tool can be breath. An energetic tool can be remembering, hey, this isn't true nature me. True nature me does not live in this angered state. True nature me does not live in this chronic, stressed, fight or flight state. Because remember, if we don't regulate our emotions, that decreases the accuracy of our intuition, allows heavy energies to cord into you, and amplify your insecurities even more. Not regulating your emotions allows you to live in an influenced state, a fear-based mindset state, where you are not making logical decisions. Remember that the overwhelmingly majority of the world is good, has light intentions. It is just a handful of people truly who have power and influence, and their power and influence is just trickling down into these subsidiaries. And even when they trickle down, they're still the minority. Remember that. And while you are regulating your emotions, while you are figuring out what the F is going on, love yourself through it all. Give yourself some grace, because that is what true nature you would do. For some announcements, I am going to be hosting free webinars soon. If you are interested, I will link it below. There are also links to sign up for my free webinars in my social media bios and TikTok and on Instagram. I can't wait to get started on those, and I will see you guys next week.